At the core of great executive teams is this ability to focus on what requires enduring success. Here's the challenge. The challenge is the industry is growing more complex. The lines are getting blurred in terms of who holds what roles. The expectation of the owners in terms of better, faster, cheaper, more efficiency, with more ambiguity, it's become the norm. And so if we as executives are not only thinking about strategically what we must do in order to deliver and make a profit in the process, but also thinking about how do we deal with the increasing complexity, then innovation is never going to hit the radar screen. But the more we think about it, the more we realize that ultimately our end task as executives is to ensure enduring success. The topic of innovation, the conversation of innovation, and how do we innovate our way into new practices becomes inevitable. The other thing that we see when we go out and we travel, meeting with executive teams, is kind of a disconnect between where executive teams are focusing their time and where their organizations would like to see them spend their time. So we'll see a disproportionate amount of energy being expended in what we would call working in the business, dealing with the daily short-term priorities of the business, putting out fires, dealing with the projects at hand. The reality, though, is when we ask the broad organization what they would like to see from their executive leaders, what we hear more times than not are things like providing strategic direction, give us a sense of where this business is going, and also help us to understand what are the innovative priorities that we have in order to maintain not only competitiveness, but enduring profitability and performance. Ultimately, the question is, so what do I do with this? What's the so what? If I'm a member of an executive team or I'm a leader of an executive team, where do I go with this? Well, we would say you start with the fundamentals or the foundational pieces. And we talk about this in the article as well, but there's 3 things that we would encourage you to think about. Number 1 is be crystal clear on your executive team's purpose and series of objectives. From there, then you can step back and say, okay, so what are the roles that we need to set up around this team in order to accomplish those objectives? And then the last is picking the team, making sure that you have the right people in the right seats to make all these things happen. But if you start with those fundamentals and you set aside the time, you have clearly aligned strategic priorities, and you have an orientation towards execution, but also a sensitivity towards what's required to get your organization to embrace change, your executive teams can drive successfully this whole idea of innovation.